In the 80s, to be a Muslim in the United States, Muslim woman in the United States, was a frustrating experience, if I'm honest with you. One more thing about the journey is it's okay to have a lighter semester and a heavier semester. It's okay to give yourself that on and off time as long as it's never fully off. I was reflecting on my own grief of having had to leave Syria, and I was reflecting on everything that Syria had given me. So in 2012, when I left Damascus, I left thinking I was going to be away for just 5 months. I was very attached to living there. I planned to live there the rest of my life. I planned to die there and be buried there. And so with the war, I had to leave. And I arrived in Minnesota. That's where I'm from. That's where my family lives. And I moved into a little yellow house, rented next door to my brother. So at that point, I was really reflecting on the state and the situation that I had found Muslim women in. I was reflecting on my own grief of having had to leave Syria. And I was reflecting on everything that Syria had given me. And while I knew I couldn't do anything to help Syria and get back to the healthy country that I had once lived in, I felt like I could take what Syria had given me and offer it to the Muslim women that I had met. So when I first talked to some of my students and we first talked about this, we had different ideas. And one of them was this whole idea of online learning, which is way before people were doing online learning. I didn't have that sort of background, but that's where we started. And the word rabata is actually, it's a funny word to give to an organization because it's a root word. But originally, I wanted that root word to be the name of the organization. And then I thought every project would be a derivative, like ribat, rabita, murabit, etc. Rabata. And it was very clear. So our very first project was Ribat, and that's our online academic learning for Muslim women. After that project, and we wanted to move into publishing, one of my board members, she said, Anse, if you use all of these different terms, then the person who doesn't speak Arabic is not going to be able to differentiate between the projects. So we dropped my original idea, and our next project was Daybreak Press. So very different. We just went straight into English to make it clear. '80s, to be a Muslim in the United States, Muslim woman in the United States, was a frustrating experience, if I'm honest with you. We didn't have access to learning. We had the books that were written about Islam or about Muslim women were very frustrating to read. Either the English language itself wasn't good, or the tone was very derogatory towards women. It was just it was a frustrating existence. To go to the masjid was frustrating. You didn't feel part of the community. And one more thing for Muslim women, I really recommend that you do at least part of the learning is from women. Yeah. The perspectives are different. The sort of way of explanation can lighten the heart. There are some things that are still out there that if you read them with a 21st century mind, it can be painful or damaging to the faith to read the explanation of something. Yeah. A woman teacher can help you because she knows she's been there, she's been through that. Someone's explained to her in this idea of sanad, and she can explain that in a way that becomes a joyful thing instead of something that is difficult or painful. One more thing about the journey is it's okay to have a lighter semester and a heavier semester. It's okay to give yourself that on and off time as long as it's never fully off. Mm-hmm. There should always be some amount of learning so you don't get out of practice or begin to think about yourself that you're not a student. We always want to be students. We want to be serious about that and really enjoy that process and enjoy that learning and enjoy that growth that happens. When we sit in a jalsat ilm here in IRL, so to speak, in real life, we know from the Prophet ﷺ, the angels surround us. We know that the angels make dua for us. We know that the angels are seeking forgiveness for us. That is a circle of ilm or a circle of dhikr. When we sit in an online space, whatever that space is, maybe it's an Instagram video, maybe it's a Zoom class, maybe it's a discourse community. When we sit in these spaces, we have to remember that the online space belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just as much as any space that we might sit in physically. Yep.